Welcome to An Outside View. I'm your host, Dick Sicaro, and joining me today is Chief John Carmichael. Chief, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me. I think this is my third or fourth time.
Yes, it is. Always a pleasure to have you on.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So first of all, congratulations are in order. So I'm sure almost everyone in this town knows what's going on, but for those that don't, I'll have you look in the camera one and maybe tell the viewers the exciting news.
Sure. Well, over the winter, the opportunity came from the Newton Police Department that they were looking for a police chief, and I kind of looked to their brochure, and I noticed that in their brochure they had a lot of qualifications, or should I say prerequisites that they were looking for as far as community policing and community engagement and that kind of thing, and advancing the department of the 21st century. So I started to look a little bit more into it, and I said, you know, a lot of these things are in my wheelhouse. They're things that I embrace as a police chief. And then I kind of looked at it as a new opportunity and a new challenge for me. And, you know, being somebody that, you know, I have that competitive edge, I guess, still in me. So I looked at it and I said, that's something I might want to throw my hat in the ring, talk to my family, and I did. I submitted all my information, my resume and my background, and the next thing you know, we're involved in the process, and I didn't have any expectations. However, I kept making it further in the process to the point where after about 2 months, the mayor of Newton offered me the position to be the police chief there, and it's been bittersweet. It's been very emotional for me, a roller coaster ride, I guess, but I kind of looked at it as if this is a challenge for me, and if I didn't take the challenge and this opportunity, I didn't want to get to the end of my career and look back and regret it.
Right.
Not that I have regrets, you know, from my career at all, but it was something that professionally and career-wise, it was something that I wanted to try and take on that challenge.
Right, and very, very impressive background. I have the press release with the mayor of Newton here.
Oh, yeah.
And I was looking at your qualifications. So you've been on the job in Walpole now in the police department for about 25 years, correct?
25 years, yes.
And chief over the last 3 years?
Almost
6 years. 6 years already.
Right.
So you became chief when I moved into town, exactly 6 years ago.
Wow.
I know it's a tough decision when Walpole's been your home and your place of employment, and I know the people are going to miss you. I'm going to miss you.
Thank you.
You did a fantastic job, and I've heard nothing but great accolades about you from all law enforcement officials all over the area. They speak very highly of you.
Thank you.
As we do as well. So last time you were on the show, we talked a little bit about, maybe you can give the viewers, what is it like in a typical day to be chief of police in a town like Walpole or any other community, and some of the highs and lows of the job and some of the rewarding aspects of it?
It's very challenging, and when you say daily, it's daily and nightly and through the night, and yeah, it's a constant job. You know, policing's 24 hours a day, and things obviously don't only happen during the day shift. There's things that happen at night. There's things that happen overnight, and so you're in constant communication with the station, with the operations of the department, and it can be very taxing. It's an extremely challenging job. It's a stressful job, but it's also very rewarding. You get a lot out of it as well. And you get out of it what you put into it. So I put a lot into it. I've always put a lot of passion and effort into my job, whether it be when I was a patrol officer, a dispatcher, or sergeant, deputy chief, or chief. I always give 100% in everything I try and do. And so yeah, your daily routine. I shouldn't say routine because it's never routine. Right. Things happen, and every day every day is something new. And when you work that into the cumulative, it's over the years. You see a lot. Like there's
Sure.
I know most people that live in Walpole or know about Walpole, they think it's a quiet town, and it is. We're a quiet town. It's a safe town and a safe county and a safe state. But we have our fair share of issues too. And
Sure.
you know, most recently, a lot of mental health issues, and we still have issues with substance abuse and that kind of thing. And we have a lot of challenges. And so your daily routine it's a constant kind of flow of incidents and information and things that you have to be mitigating and dealing with every day.
Nationwide, as we all know and seen on the news almost every night that I watch the news, there's a lot of controversy going on with law enforcement agencies all over the country. Mm-hmm. There's some groups out there that feel they're being treated differently, but I was noticing on the mayor's press release in Newton, one of the positive things that she liked about you was bringing a cultural aspect to your job and also bringing in diversity. And your police department is probably the most diverse, I would say, of any department in this town.
Yes, yeah, it is. And so when I became chief, 5-6 years ago, one of my personal goals was to create diversity within the police department. And the reason is it's very beneficial to do that because the police department is supposed to mirror the community and be representative of not just the Walpole community, but the Massachusetts community. And we deal with so many issues, and sensitive issues, delicate issues, cultural issues, even here in Walpole, that when you have a diverse police department, you can deal with those issues face to face. And it's much easier for a person, when they're a victim of a crime or maybe it's domestic violence or something like that, for them to communicate with an officer that might understand their background and their culture a little bit better. Female officers, they do an amazing job with dealing with child abuse issues and domestic issues and things like that. So the more that we diversify the department, the more successful we become and engage in every part of the community. And the way we did that was through, we got out of civil service, and then we were able to develop larger pools of candidates when we hired. And over the past 5 or 6 years, we've been able to hire, African American officers and Hispanic origin officers and officers that speak 3 or 4 languages. They're multilingual, and we're up to 6 female officers on the department. So we have that diversity as far as dealing with women issues and domestic violence and that kind of thing. So it makes us just much more successful in being able to do that, and I'm proud of that. Like, that's something that internally the officers have embraced what that goal was, and I think the community appreciates it as well.
And one of your passions, she also pointed out, is your passionate work with people that have psychological problems too. Mm-hmm. And I think that's more evident today with all the pressures in life.
It is. When just last year, every year over the past 3 or 4 years, our mental health crisis calls have increased 100%.
Wow.
And if you look at our data from last year in Walpole, we had over 600 incidents that had some element of mental health crisis or mental illness involved in it. And so it's almost a part of everyday policing here in Walpole, not just in Walpole, but the whole region and probably the whole country. And so it was very important to get ahead of that. Our department is very well trained in mental health crisis, community crisis intervention. We're very well trained in it, and we have a lot of good partners in the town with DMH and Riverside and NAMI, which is the National Mental Illness Institute. And there's just a lot of good stakeholders in town that we've been able to work with to deal with this issue. And we've actually had a crisis intervention team here in Walpole for years. And in my process with Newton, I found that they just recently have implemented these programs. So that's going to be something that we have to get up and going in Newton, just like we have here in Walpole.
Also, in today's age, I mean, everyone has a cell phone that has a video camera on it.
Yeah.
And I know we probably all saw, as the viewers saw, that unfortunate tragic incident in Ohio And a
Yes.
highly trained officer was called in an emergency when there was a fight that broke out. And he had his camcorder on. I'm assuming your offices, are you equipped with camcorders, most of your
We're
offices?
not
Or
yet.
you're not yet?
So body cameras have been an issue that we've been bringing up over the
Right.
past, probably since longer than I've been chief. So while I was deputy chief, we looked at a pilot program. The issue with body cameras right now is that they're extremely expensive, and we would, because of compliance, court compliance and discovery and public records and a lot of other issues, policy, how you want to, when do you turn the camera on, when do you turn it off,
Right.
Domestic violence, child abuse, very sensitive, delicate
Sure.
situations, when do you do it and how do you do it? And so Massachusetts has been a little slow on getting that process and body cameras in place. And as we have looked at it, but there's a lot to it. Even in our old station, we figured that we wouldn't even be able to collect the data anyway because we didn't have anywhere to really store it.
Right.
And as the technology's advanced, we're now able, you can do it into clouds, and there's other ways to maintain the data and stuff. So it's something that I know Newton is looking into it very strongly, and
Right.
it's going to be a way of policing in the next probably
Sure.
10 years.
Right.
It's here, but
Well, as you say, I mean, it's
Yeah.
an extremely stressful job, and evident with that film. It was just unbelievable. I mean, that officer had like a split second to react. I mean, you clearly saw the individual had a knife, a steak knife like that. She was just about ready to plunge in to the woman she was fighting with. And
right, yeah,
I mean, he had to react right then and there. And you hear a lot of the people out there criticizing, well, couldn't you shot her in the leg or fired a warning shot? Well, the other girl would have probably been severely injured if he hesitated that
Right.
split second. And I know you
it-
trained.
the thing is, yeah, we see this a lot in body camera video, and some of the release of body camera video when people. What a lot of times people don't understand is that you can see a video, you can stop it, you can listen to it, you can rewind it, you can look at it 100 times, you can break it down and do
Right.
all those things. Police officers don't have that benefit in the street when they have to make split-second decisions, and it's
Right.
happened to me throughout my entire career. You constantly are involved in dynamic situations, they're unfolding circumstances, they're unpredictable circumstances. As what happened there, the officers go into a call where there's some type of a disturbance and there's a knife involved, and you see how quickly that unraveled, and that
Right.
whole incident just went south. And the way that officer reacted, I can tell you right now that officer is extremely well trained, well disciplined, and at least from what I saw in the video, he had to do what he had to do, unfortunately. And that'll affect him for the rest of his life, and
Sure,
as well as
sure.
the families of everybody involved. Nobody wins there, but
Absolutely.
what we have to do as far as camera video, because what's happening is they're playing this stuff so much in the media that citizens are starting to think that all this stuff is the norm, and this is happening constantly over and over again. And that's, while there's certainly issues in policing that we need to address, there's a lot of good things that happen in policing that I think we're missing. And then when the dialogue happens, it seems to be too much of talking at the police instead of talking with each other and trying to figure these things out together. But those dynamic situations where you have split-second decisions, when we look at that and we evaluate it, we can't, if you're not there, you can't look at that in retrospect. And
Right.
you have to put yourself in the officer's shoes at that time, at that place, with those exact circumstances in order to come to whatever conclusion you want to come to. And that, I think law enforcement policing doesn't do a good job of explaining that well enough.
Right.
And when you've seen some of these situations where they put people, regular citizens, in any type of a scenario, a dynamic type of scenario, and how difficult it is to work your way through that correctly. And
Right.
so it's
So the psychological aspects of the job, if, let's say, an officer is having problems that went through a similar experience, do you have a psychologist on your staff, or do they outsource that?
Are you talking for the police
For the
officers?
police officers,
mental
yeah,
health?
that were under a lot of stress,
Yeah,
particularly related to one incident.
Right. So all of the 21st century policing talks a lot about officer wellness. We have programs in place with the police department. The police department's a little unique from, EAP, employee assistance programs, because frankly, cops don't feel comfortable talking to other people that don't understand what they just experienced or what they go through in the street. So what we've done is we've created peer support units. Our Metrolec has peer support units. We have crisis intervention and management teams now that can help officers. When we have any type of critical incident where, depending on the circumstance, maybe it's child abuse, maybe it's an overdose, maybe it's whatever it might be, where there's a critical incident where that situation might have an impact on the officer, we do diffusing through through Metrolec, through the peer support unit, which is a quick, like, making sure the officer's okay. Do we need to get them to the hospital? Are they able to continue working the shift? And then that's followed up with a debriefing where all of the officers involved in an incident are brought together, and they basically talk through the situation, and in the end, if they need to get some type of additional assistance, then that's provided to them. But what we've seen is that for the most part, the cumulative effect of stress over the years is very can be devastating if you don't address it.
Right.
So, throughout my career, I've seen some horrible accidents and horrible
Sure you
things
have.
happen. Everything from a homicide to the worst things you can imagine, and
Right.
They affect me. Like those things are embedded in my memory, and
Absolutely.
so if you don't have some outlet in some way to deal
Right.
with that, then it can destroy you.
Right, and you're always the first one on the scene in
Mhm.
that line of profession.
Yep.
Now, when you move to Newton, what do you see your biggest challenges, the biggest changes coming from a town of Walpole to a fairly large city of Newton? You think it's going to be a lot different, or basically you'll stick by, you'll stick by your same principles and do a great job for them, but what do you think the biggest difference will be?
Well, yeah.
Getting to know the personnel over
Yes.
there, or?
Yes, that'll be because I'm coming in kind of cold into a new environment,
Right.
A new department. There's 150 officers, there's 90,000 people in Newton. I know some people in Newton. I don't know many. So my work will be cut out for me. I'm going to have to get out there. I'm going to have to meet everybody within the department, start establishing those relationships, and then I'm going to get right out there and do what I've done here in Walpole. Use the same philosophy of trying to meet people every day and engage in. So Newton's broke up into 13 different villages throughout the city, and so I'm going to have to hit those different villages and
Right.
the community leaders in each of those areas, and there's a city council, so I'll have to establish relationships with them, with the mayor, and so there's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a significant transition, I think, but we'll get there.
So we still have you around for another month and a half or so? When's the
Yeah.
official day you're
They're
leaving?
looking at June 7th, I think, for being sworn in. So, we needed time to make sure that we transition the department. We're in really good shape right now. The department I have great command staff. So, Deputy Chief Rich Kelleher, and then Lieutenant White, Lieutenant Zingetti, Lieutenant Kilroy, great and extremely intelligent guys. They've been involved in every process, the major things like the 21st century policing,
Right.
stuff that we need to get done, the accreditation certification process, where we're shooting for certification and accreditation. The police reform stuff is all laid out. We've already changed all of our policies. We've trained on it. We'll be submitting stuff to POST, which is the Police Standards and Training Commission. So we're in really good shape right now, Walpole Police Department, and so those command staff, everybody's been involved in that process since the beginning, and so they're going to be able to roll it out with no problem.
So I'm assuming they haven't named your replacement yet.
Well, Rich Kelleher, the deputy chief now, he'll
be
be named as the interim acting chief,
Interim acting.
and then
And then
the plan, I think, is they're going to have some type of a process and everything.
Right.
Rich Kelleher is extremely capable. He shares a very similar philosophy to mine, as does the rest of the command staff, and so. While it's going to be tough to leave Walpole, I know that I'll still live here, so
Sure.
I feel like we're in good hands with
Right.
Deputy Chief Kelleher and the command staff that's there.
Now, does Newton have a residency requirement? Do you have to be a resident of the town to be a police officer up to a
Yeah.
certain amount of years? Or
You don't have to be a resident, but you have to live. So civil service, it's kind of their standard 15 miles
Right.
border to border. So Walpole's obviously within that
Great.
distance.
So you still can.
So I can
live
still
here.
live in Walpole. And,
So we'll still see you around town.
You'll still see me around town, and my kids go to school here and everything, and
Right.
Excellent. So my wife will have to probably do more work in getting them to school and taking care of some of the logistics there, but still be at the sporting events and looking forward to that. And I already told Newton that even when Walpole, I'll cheer for Newton any other time, but when they play in Walpole,
Right. The heart will
it's
be
all
always
Walpole.
here. It's still your home.
yeah. Now what are we called now?
The new
Yeah.
name is I believe, Walpole Timberwolves.
Timberwolves, yes.
Right, right.
So
Went from the Rebels.
go Timberwolves, yeah.
How's the dog Rebel doing? Is the dog still around?
Rebel is doing amazing, yeah. Officer Hart and Rachel Jackson, who's the nurse here at the high school, they take care of Rebel, who we got from Golden Opportunities for Independence, who's just an incredible organization.
Right.
Pauline Hagler, it's been an absolute amazing success with Rebel, and we've got so many documented situations that we've responded to where somebody was just in a major crisis, worst probably moment of their life, and Officer Hart and Rebel show up, and they're just able to
Amazing.
bring that
Right.
calmness and serenity to really difficult situations. And
Yeah.
other departments have followed suit. I think there's 9 other departments now in Norfolk County that have followed our kind of lead on it. And
Right.
District Attorney Morrissey helped even fund some of the dogs.
Yeah, speaking of which, I saw another tragic incident unfold the other day. I forget where it was, what police department it was, but you had obviously a psychological disturbed individual was wrestling with the police dog after they let the police dog go to apprehend him.
Yep.
And I don't know if he had a knife in his hand, but he tried to do bodily harm to the dog, and he kept on asking the officer to shoot him. Not
Yeah.
the dog, but shoot him.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't think that ended good either. I think then he came after them. But just
Yeah,
something you
those
get-
situations, the suicide by cop,
yeah,
those are very,
you see that a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it's it's part of the
Tragic.
whole, some of the mental health crisis calls, and that's why the training is so important, that officers are trained to go into those situations and slow things down and kind of assess everything a little bit better and create distance and do some de-escalation techniques and with the goal of trying to address those situations successfully and without using deadly force and that kind of thing. So
I was watching
uh,
Hannity one night, and I know a lot of police departments use the tasers, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, especially if someone's really hyped up on drugs. It probably takes longer to impact stopping them. But Hannity was saying there's a new type of firing apparatus out there that not only it shoots like a taser effect, but also has tear gas that instantly stops somebody.
yeah, they're
Have
like
you
little beads or something
Yeah, have you
like
seen that?
I haven't seen that, but yeah, so any of the tools that officers are trained in using to deal with levels of force that they're facing, they all have their fallbacks.
Right.
Everything from hand to hand to pepper spray. Any time I've been involved in a situation where pepper spray was used, I get pepper sprayed. So
Right.
The tasers have a lot of different issues with them as far as the probes making contact and separation of the probes, and even with drive stun types of taser use. There's always issues with clothing and that kind of thing. So when those things are deemed ineffective, then something else has to be done. So we've actually, Walpole PD's looked into the bowler wraps, which are these this piece of wire with two balls on the end that like connect and actually tie somebody up almost to just kind of subdue them that way. And it's it's much less intrusive, and they seem to work very well. We've looked at those, but
so what were you?
But the levels of force are very important. Well, we've had tasers in Walpole now for, I got them through capital expenditure, I think 5 or 6 years ago, and they've been incredibly successful in helping to de-escalate situations where before we had them, officers were reverting to pulling a firearm before they needed to, and the tasers have really helped that aspect of it.
So what will you miss the most about Walpole?
The people.
Being the chief, the people?
Yeah, the people.
And all your offices, obviously.
Yeah.
The residents and your offices. And
yeah, I've developed so many relationships and partnerships in the town, and my family is here, so my neighbors, our friends, the officers, dispatchers, civilian staff, the kids, I've had great opportunities to be able to have face-to-face contact with the kids in the community, our elders in the senior center. The list goes on and on. Town Administrator Jim Johnson's been great to me, as well as the select board, and we have a great community. Like, we have a very strong, tight-knit community. We have our issues and we have our disagreements on things, but overall, it's just such a strong community that supports each other. One of the amazing things you always see is, like, when there's a family in need, like say a loved one's sick, or they're just falling on hard times, this community just it stands up and it helps people out, and it's just incredible to see that. And the police department is a microcosm of that. We've assisted with that as well. Like, a lot of the things we do in the department is to help raise funds and do different things so that we can give back to the community in some way. And I think we're unique in that way. There's a lot of good things about this town.
I've observed you on several situations and had a couple incidents myself with you that all turned out good. But one, I told the story, I think when you first came on my show, we had a town meeting at the senior center. There was a handicapped woman in a wheelchair that was going up to get coffee and some donuts, and you were the first person that went up and greeted and helped her out.
Yeah.
So,
I remember that. Yeah.
I was very impressed by that. And the other one, we had a personal issue close to home, as you're well aware, and your men and women both worked diligently on that and made the news. And you called me and let me know you finally apprehended the suspect, which was great work.
A year later.
And I thank you for it. Yeah. And then I had the pleasure of emceeing the Police Appreciation Day.
Yes.
When we had about 500 people show up and made the news networks, and
that's right. Yeah.
we were happy to do that for you.
And that's great. The community. That's part of the thing with Walpole is we have such strong community support, and the police department's not perfect. Nobody, we don't claim to be. We think that we do a very good job of like the crime aspect, and we're relentless. Like when crime happens in Walpole, our officers, our detectives, they are relentless to try and solve it and to get some justice for people when they've been victimized. And then on the other aspect, the other hand of it, the community policing and the community engagement side of it, I don't think there's many departments around here that do it as well as we do. And so I always recognize our officers for that and appreciate their efforts. And that example is we tried that case for a year. We tried so many different things to identify those suspects with a situation that could have been a violent type of situation. And ultimately, over a year it took us, but we finally got the person responsible. And
excellent. And you always kept me up to date too, what was going on. We might have a few special guest coming in for a minute. I believe they have a presentation
Oh.
to you. I'm just checking my watch, so they should be here in about 5 minutes. So
Okay.
after the presentation, we can wrap it up. But is there anything you would like to tell the viewers before we wrap the show up and the official presentation happens?
Well, thank you first. Thank you for having me on your show again. These times are tough because I tried, I don't want to be too emotional and everything, but it's tough. Like when I talked to the officers at work and had to explain to them that I was looking at a new opportunity and a new challenge in my career, like I got very emotional about it,
Sure.
My family's here and everything, and these officers at work, they're my family too. So
Right.
we're very close knit, and we're all tight, and we support each other and back each other up, and so it's really difficult to walk away from that and
I'm sure.
and to leave it. But like I said, professionally and career-wise, it's a good time for me to do this. And
Right.
like I said, if I got to the end of my career and I didn't, I'd probably regret it, not taking on other challenges. This is going to sound weird, but if I go on to Newton and I fell on my face and didn't succeed at it, then I think I'd still be happy with my choice to try. Like, if you
Right.
don't try new things in life, then
Which I'm sure you won't. And I
Yeah.
know you'll excel over there, and they'll love you
Yeah,
just
but-
like the people of Walpole loved you too.
thank you. And I'm so grateful to the community. 25 years, blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, I
Went
got
by
the scars
fast.
to prove it.
Probably went by fast too,
It
right?
did, yeah. I know everybody says that, but it did. It went by
Right.
too fast.
But it's,
And here I am, I got, the gray hair to prove it and everything.
Yeah.
I've earned every one of them, too.
I'm sure you have. When do you have any hair left, right? With
Yep,
some of
I know.
the stress that you have on the job, but you did a remarkable job, and I know you're torn because this is your home, and you spent so many years here, and you made a lot of friendships. I made several changes in my career over the years too, and it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you get kind of comfortable with your surroundings, but yet in life, I don't think you want to get too complacent either.
Right,
And
right.
sometimes you need new challenges and move on. But I mean, I know your heart's always going to be here, and we'll still see you
Yeah.
around town.
It will, yeah. Walpole will always, it'll always have a special place in my
Now,
heart.
can you think of any new programs that, Newton is not Norfolk County, are they?
They're Middlesex.
Middlesex.
Yeah.
So you'll be dealing with maybe some new, like the new district attorney
Yep.
and
New district attorney, new court system.
new court system and everything. But
Yeah, so, yeah, everything's is gonna change. It'll be a big transition.
right. And you see any major
but-
differences, how they run their department, or what you know about it?
I don't think so. Like they are a very community oriented department. They're very well renowned. They're accredited. They're nationally accredited.
Right.
So that means they have very good policies and procedures and everything in place.
Excellent.
So
Oh,
there's,
well, our guests have arrived in the studio. We have Tom Brown. He's the vice chair of the Republican Town Committee of Walpole, and Vic
Hello.
Center is the
Hi, Vic.
chair of the Republican Town Committee. And I believe they have a presentation for you and
Oh,
a
wow.
plaque, and they want to say a few words on behalf of themselves, the citizens of Walpole, and also the Republican Town Committee. So I'll let them
Well,
grab
thank
the
you.
mic and make the presentation to you.
Nice to see you today.
Nice to see you.
I'd like to thank you for all your service that you've given to the town of Walpole. And on behalf of the Town Republican Committee, we'd like to present you with this nice plaque. It reads, Chief John F. Carmichael, Jr. This plaque is in recognition for your hard work, dedication, and outstanding public service over the years to the town of Walpole, Massachusetts. We wish you the best of luck with all of your future endeavors, and we extend our sincere gratitude and appreciation to the citizens of Walpole. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, that's very
Good luck,
nice. Wow.
on the new chapter in life.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Chief.
Don't
Thank you
forget
very
us
much.
over here in Walpole.
No, I won't. I still live here, so it's gonna be.
You see
I'm going. I'm not completely going
And
away.
the stars match the stars you have
Oh,
on
that's
your
so nice.
collar.
Wow. Thank you so much. I hold it up.
Yep, they're quite
Did I see
active,
that?
these two gentlemen, as you know.
Yes.
They're both RTMs, and Tom's a candidate for select person
Yep.
again this year. So they speak very highly of you, as everyone else in
Thank
this
you.
community. And you guys can hang out. We're wrapping up now. We're just wishing them well. Would you like to say a couple words yourself, Vic?
Yeah, geez, it's great knowing you, and we'll see you around town,
Yeah. Thank you.
you know, and as far as you,
We still have him for another month and a half,
another month and a half, so we can.
Yeah.
and he'll still be a resident of town,
Okay,
so.
all right, okay. Well, you know, just stay safe, okay? Godspeed.
Will do. Yes. Thank you very much.
And we'll see you at
Appreciate it.
town meeting, too.
Yes, you will. Yeah.
So that pretty much comes to the conclusion of our show, and
Thanks.
personally, I want to thank you again for everything you've done for this community. It was a pleasure knowing you and being part of Walpole, and I really appreciate you coming on the show several times, and you're always welcome back, Chief. There'll always
Right,
be a
yeah.
special place in our hearts for you.
Thank you very much.
And
that's
congratulations and the best of luck.
Thank you.
Till the next outside view, remember, stay safe and all lives matter.